This video is a case study about rehab work we're doing with our 7-year-old New Forest pony, Sue. Sue's lived with us for the last 3 years. She did well during the winter and spring of 2017 and 18, and I brought her on slowly, and she enjoyed some dressage jumping and some hacking, trail riding. In August 2018, she was a 10th lame in trot on the left foreleg after a fall in the field. Initially, I had no reason to think that this was anything serious, but the lameness persisted longer than I'd expected, so she had a full veterinary lameness diagnosis and gait analysis, nerve block scans, x-rays and MRI. None of this gave any explanation as to the cause of lameness, except that the problem was most likely in the left shoulder or the base of the neck. Finally, a period of field rest was recommended. Having exhausted the veterinary route, I tried a number of bodywork modalities to see if we could help Sue. For example, Bowen, Masterson method, and a veterinary osteopath. All the practitioners found tightness and asymmetry, but no one could pinpoint the cause for the lameness. I'm really attentive about the environment, nutrition, hoof balance, teeth, saddle fit for all our horses, so I didn't feel that this was the cause of the problem. The ongoing pattern for more than a year and a half was that she'd be sound after a period of field rest, but lame again after 3 days of very light work. At a loss as to how to help Sue recover from this injury, I decided to completely change her environment and turned her out in the New Forest National Park where we live in autumn 2019, where she could run in a very large area with a semi-feral herd. After 6 months out on the New Forest, and with the help of a new bodywork modality that I hadn't tried before, Tucker biokinetic technique, I was able to get Sue sound enough to be able to start work in hand in May 2020. In June, I approached Jack Aristotle-Ballou and asked for her help to see if we could successfully rehabilitate Sue back into work using exercises from Jack's book, 55 Corrective Exercises. What follows are the exercises that Jack recommended for Sue and the first month of work that we undertook with those exercises. There's video clips to show you how we got along with those. I'm very aware that in some of these clips Sue isn't completely sound, but I'd reached a point where I was either going to give up or try to work through the lameness and see if we could develop better and more sound movement through better balance, symmetry, flexibility and more strength. It would be great if there are any ideas within this video that would be of help to other people who are in the same sort of situation.
Hi, Jack Ballou going to drop in here. When Amanda sent me the initial video footage of Sue for my assessment and possible help, it's a tricky case. It's not immediately evident what might be causing the lameness issue with Sue, but what did seem very evident to me was that the little horse, for whatever reason, it looked like her back end and her front end were not communicating with each other. It's like they're both kind of plodding along doing different things. The exercises that I chose for the first round are ones that I've seen have a good result with horses in the past for activating the horse's middle section or his back and his trunk and his core. And my hope was that we could get the energy from the hind legs moving forward through the back. Because until we can accomplish that, in my opinion, it's really almost impossible to diagnose and or fix any problem in one of the 4 limbs. If a horse isn't really using their back very well, they're not channeling movement through their back, maybe those muscles have become switched off, maybe the nerve signals are a little bit interrupted, maybe the horse is just grossly out of shape, not fit, and is not activating things well. My hope was that we could use exercises that require some fairly quick, fine motor control movements that really require the horse to switch on the movements through the middle of the body. And then we could start to address where the problem seems to be, which is in the front end of the body. But for me, it always starts in the middle. At this point, I do see an improvement in Sue's movement. It is certainly not a radical improvement, and that is the nature of these kinds of rehabilitation journeys. Unfortunately, it's also the frustrating part. We want to see big changes, we want to see them relatively quickly. The difference I see at this point is the horse appears more coordinated to me, and that I simply mean if you think of the difference between a human being who's somewhat klutzy and seems like gravity is pulling them down all the time versus a person who is relatively light on their feet and agile and well coordinated in their body. So that's the change I see at this point. Soundness aside, what I would like to start to see from this point forward is certainly more, longer bouts of trotting and see how the horse at this point is able to hold up with that. My hunch is that the progress will be intermittent. I mean, the positive movement will be intermittent. There will certainly be some very, very sound days followed by some days that are a little more wobbly in her body. And these things, especially with colder-blooded horses, just take longer time, in my experience, to recruit the muscle fiber. They're slower to make adaptations to exercises and groove new movement patterns. Hotter blood horses tend to make quicker changes. So we'll just have to see where this is going.